The ordinary substitute teacher who walked into the classroom that day was anything but ordinary. And he was about to give them the most important lesson of their lives. The corridors of Lincoln High School were filled with the usual Monday morning rush. Bags on shoulders, phones in hands, students were flocking toward their classrooms. It was 8:45, and the first class was physics. On the door of Class 11A hung a small note. "Your physics teacher, Mr. Wilson, is sick. A substitute teacher will come today." 16-year-old Jake Morrison, the leader of the class, turned to his friends when he saw this note. "Great. It's going to be an easy day. Substitute teachers don't know anything." Madison Taylor, one of the popular girls in school, added while fixing her hair, "Substitute teachers are usually old people who don't know what they're doing. We can watch movies and relax." Tyler Brooks, the team's basketball player, added from behind, "Maybe we won't even have class. We'll just sit and wait." Even Emma Watson, the quiet but smart girl in class, agreed with this thought. At least Mr. Wilson was fun. The substitute teacher will definitely be boring. When they entered the classroom, students settled into their usual seats. Jake, Madison, Tyler, and Emma sat in the back rows. The quieter students were in the front rows. Everyone was looking at their phone screens, whispering to each other, waiting carelessly for class to begin. At exactly 9 o'clock, the door opened. The figure who entered seemed to confirm their expectations. Dr. Harold Chen, 67 years old, was a medium-height man with a slightly forward-leaning posture. His gray hair was disheveled, his glasses perched on the tip of his nose. He wore an old brown sweater. His pants were slightly wrinkled. His shoes were boots that had obviously once been black, but were now faded. He carried a worn leather bag. His walk was slow, his steps careful, his voice soft and hesitant. "Good morning, children," said Dr. Chen, slowly placing his bag on the teacher's desk. "I'm Harold Chen. I'll be with you today in place of Mr. Wilson." Jake turned to his friends and smiled. "See, just like I said, this guy looks like he doesn't know anything." Madison whispered, "Maybe he'll even forget his name from old age." Dr. Chen turned to the board and slowly wrote, "Today we will have physics class." His writing was shaky, the letters uneven, as if he was using the board for the first time. Tyler, the athletic boy sitting in the back, raised his voice. "Teacher, physics has very difficult topics. We can't understand. It would be better if you explained simple things." Dr. Chen smiled, adjusting his glasses. "Sure, let's start simple. Does anyone know anything about physics?" Madison raised her hand, but with a mocking expression. "Teacher, I don't know anything. Physics is very complex and boring." Emma added, "I don't understand either. The formulas are too difficult." "Physics is actually very simple," said Dr. Chen, walking around the classroom. "Everything around us is physics. For example, your phones, the headphones you listen to music with, this building standing upright." He stopped and tried to draw a circle on the board, but because his hand was shaking, the line came out crooked. Laughter rose from the class. Emma whispered from the back, "What is this man doing? He can't even draw a straight line." Tyler laughed out loud. "Teacher, is this a geometry class?" "A line drawing class." Jake was a bit bolder. "Teacher, I think your hand is shaking. Is it old age? Maybe it's time to retire." Dr. Chen stopped, adjusted his glasses, and said calmly, "Yes, we age. Hands shake, steps slow down, but the mind still works." Tyler asked mockingly, "Teacher, have you taught physics before? Or another subject, maybe math, history?" "I've been dealing with physics for 50 years, said Dr. Chen calmly, without taking offense. Madison tried not to laugh. 50 years? Wow, you've really been teaching since ancient times, since the dinosaur age." Jake added, 50 years ago, physics was probably simpler. Now it's very complex. I wasn't actually a teacher, doctor." Chen stopped, leaning against the board. "I did other jobs." Jake became interested. "What job did you do? Repair work? Carpentry?" Tyler jokingly added, "Maybe a barber. Or a gardener. The class began to laugh. Dr. Chen saw these reactions but remained calm, continuing to smile. Space-related work, he said simply, as if it were the most natural thing. Tyler pretended to be surprised. Space? Were you looking for UFOs or something? Were you talking to aliens? Madison added, maybe you acted in space movies. More laughter. Dr. Chen turned to the board and this time tried to write a simple formula more carefully. F equals ma. Do you know what this means? He asked, turning to the class. Emma from the back. No, teacher, we don't understand at all. Too much difficult math. Where are we going to use these? Tyler added, no one uses these in real life. Dr. Chen began to explain. F means force, m is mass, a is acceleration. Newton's second law. This formula explains everything. Jake impatiently interrupted. Teacher, who discovers these? Do you discover them, or do you copy them from the internet? No? Dr. Chen smiled. I didn't discover them. I just applied them. Madison curiously. What did you apply? Where did you apply them? Calculations for sending rockets to space, said Dr. Chen, as if it were the most ordinary job. Tyler with an incredulous expression. Rocket? Real rocket? Not a toy. Emma skeptically. Do you make rockets? In your garage? Yes, real rockets. But I didn't make them. I calculated where the rockets would go. The class was slowly quieting down because they were beginning to realize that Dr. Chen was saying unusual things. Jake asked suspiciously, Teacher, did you really work with rockets? Where? Madison added. Which company? For 45 years, Dr. Chen turned to the board and this time wrote more clearly. NASA, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Silence fell in the classroom. Everyone was looking at each other. Madison, in amazement. NASA? Real NASA? The NASA from those movies? Yes, the real NASA in Pasadena, California. Emma leaned forward. What did you do there? Tea and coffee service? Tyler added, maybe you did cleaning. Dr. Chen turned and looked at the class. For the first time, they were really interested. I was doing orbital calculations to send rovers to Mars. Tyler with his mouth open. To Mars? To real Mars. Yes, curiosity, perseverance, spirit, opportunity. I did the calculations needed for all these rovers to safely reach Mars. Jake was now completely serious. You really sent rovers to Mars? I didn't send them alone, of course. It was teamwork. But I did the mathematical calculations needed for the rovers to safely reach Mars. Orbital mechanics, fuel calculations, landing trajectories, atmospheric calculations. Madison couldn't believe it. But you look so ordinary. Not like a scientist. Dr. Chen smiled. Scientists don't look like superheroes. We're ordinary people too. We drink coffee, go shopping. Sometimes we lose our glasses. Emma asked excitedly, what else did you do? What else did you see? I also worked on the Apollo missions. I did calculations for Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to safely land on the moon. Everyone in the class was shocked. No one was looking at their phones anymore. Tyler, do you know Armstrong? Really? Yes, I talked to him several times. He was very humble and kind. He never bragged. Jake with regret. Teacher, we looked down on you. We're very sorry. We didn't know. Dr. Chen, it doesn't matter, but I want to teach you something. You shouldn't judge people by their appearance. Everyone has a story. Madison, so why are you teaching now? You were making more money at NASA. After I retired, I wanted to instill a love of science in the young generation. Not for money, just to make them love science. Seeing the curiosity in young people's eyes is priceless. Emma, so what else do you know about Mars? Are there aliens? Dr. Chen's eyes lit up. We found water on Mars, ancient riverbeds, glacier remains. We're looking for signs of life. Soon, humans will go to Mars. Tyler excitedly, really? When? In 15 to 20 years, the first humans will set foot on Mars. SpaceX, NASA, many companies are working. Maybe you could be on that team. Jake, us. How is that possible? If you learn physics well, study mathematics, study engineering. NASA is always looking for young talents. You're closer to them in age. Madison thoughtfully. So physics is really important, not just for exams. Physics is the language of the universe, the key to understanding everything, from subatomic to galaxies. Emma, will you tell us more about Mars, space, rockets? Dr. Chen smiled. Of course. But first you need to learn basic physics. Newton's laws, thermodynamics, electromagnetism, all are necessary for space travel. Tyler, we're ready to learn. Just teach us. Jake added, we'll never miss your classes again. From that day on, Class 11A never missed physics lessons. What they learned from Dr. Chen wasn't just physics. They learned not to judge people by their appearance, that every person has a story, that humility is true greatness, and how fascinating science can be. Jake decided to study physics engineering from that day on and actually aimed to intern at NASA. Madison became curious about space sciences and began thinking about studying astrophysics. Tyler quit basketball and started participating in math Olympiads. Emma also broke her silence and founded the science club. And Dr. Chen, every morning when he entered the classroom, enjoyed seeing the faces of young people who no longer looked down on him but welcomed him with respect, their eyes sparkling with curiosity. Because sometimes the greatest lessons are hidden not in textbooks, but in life experiences. And sometimes the most ordinary-looking people have the most extraordinary stories. The most important lesson Dr. Chen gave that day was this: never judge anyone by first appearance, because the person standing in front of you might be someone who did the calculations to take humanity to Mars.